Solaris, I'd like to thank you for sitting with us here at the Ordo Templi Orientis Temple tonight to have a little conversation about what you do and who you are. And I'd like to formally welcome you to the city of New Orleans. Hope you've been having a good time.
Man, it's a complete honor to be here, to be invited into your sanctum. And New Orleans, I mean, come on, man, this is a fantastic city. A lot of problems, but this is crooked in all the best places.
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
It's the best ways. Yeah.
So you were here visiting me. How many years ago was that?
I think it was 21 years ago.
It's almost 21 years
like
ago.
A whole drinking age.
Yeah. I think this must have been 2005 when
It was like right before Katrina.
Yeah, so right before Katrina.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what brings you to New Orleans this week?
So I am down here this week with some friends who are all members of my order within the Temple of Set. We're all members of the Order of the Vampire.
Okay.
And this is our annual gathering. And so it's about every other year. We pull this together. Whoever can make it come down, talk amongst ourselves, fellowship, workings, magic, soak in a little bit of the egregore of the city, try to leave a little bit of your own essence behind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How long have you been in the temple?
So last time I was here visiting you, my acceptance letter from the temple arrived back home. So when I left New Orleans to go back to Washington State, it was there waiting for me. So it's 21 years.
What a circuit, Ouroboros here.
Fucking A, right? Like,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
How did you learn about the Temple of Set? Why'd you join?
So like so many things in life, it was strangely backwards. Like I just happened to meet some people when I moved to Olympia, who were connected to a few Setians. It's largely like an artist community,
Okay.
Like auth artists, but still.
Yeah.
And so I started looking into it, read what you could find. Not quite as much literature back then as there is available now, but still there was an online presence, such as it is. And it was really, a lot of the primary points were really speaking to me. So I reached out to a friend of a friend of a friend, started just being like, hey, is this a thing? Is this something that I can like talk to you about, etc.? And we had a couple conversations, and then not too, I don't know, 2002, 3, a copy of, Spensky.
I haven't read Spensky.
So one of Gurdjieff's students. So a copy of his book, The Evolution of Man's Possible Psychology, just like arrives anonymously in the mail. And that was kind of like an entry point, I suppose, just like to kind of orient around what the fuck are these people even doing? What are they about? And just followed the thread from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your personal history. Were you in the army when you joined Temple of Set, or just gotten out?
Yeah. So okay. So I'm originally from Southern California, like very rural place.
Yeah.
I had a real transactional relationship with Uncle Sugar. I needed to get out of one horse town.
Yeah.
They needed they got a backdoor poverty draft, and I was the ideal guy for that. So I went off to Fort Jackson up there in South Kakalaki, and I did my thing. I did my bit for a while. I fixed computers. This was the 90s, so like your phone is 1,000 times more powerful than anything. But it was all right. But I got out, and I had a sense of confidence in myself that military service is one of the side benefits of, like, you drop me anywhere and I'm pretty comfortable. Like,
right, discipline and all that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was tired of California, man. Like, San Diego is a beautiful place.
Absolutely.
It's warm, etc. But I had family up in Washington State, and I was just a sucker for the rainforest, So I'm like, fuck it, I'll go up there.
It's actually beautiful up there for sure.
Yeah, so I was drawn up there, and just doing my thing, being like a weird drifter. And I got turned on to Crowley somehow, right? Like, I think it was Diary of a Drug Fiend.
Okay.
I'm reading it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, fuck, I feel like I've heard that there are some people in town that might actually like practice this sort of thing, like in real space. I'm like, I got to check that out. And that's how
there's my dumbass. Yeah. I mean, I was pretty fresh in Thelema and OTO at that time, but we did what we could, and it was kind of interesting to see the early Olympia magical scene. I mean, it was definitely formative for me.
Yeah.
So as I imagine it was for you, and then eventually in the Temple of Set, development. Has most of your work in the Temple of Set been in Olympia, or do you have to travel a lot for it? Or
well, so I mean, we have a local body, essentially a local body that's pretty spread out throughout the Pacific Northwest. But Olympia makes kind of a nice center point for all of that. So one thing that we focus on a lot is magic of place, right? Like you live in a
genus loci.
Yeah. So, and it's like that up there, right? You got a real clear, unique presence. And so, as part of 15 years ago, I founded our current pylon that's up there. We're now on our, I want to say 5th Sentinel. So pretty successful in terms of it keeps going as a local body and stuff. But we've built through this time, traditions, physical culture, weird recurring things that we do every year. We make our own mead. We do a lot of so it's great. So, but also I do travel quite a bit for temple events. So we've been to Prague, Sintra, all around the United States. So I can't get to everything.
No, of course. Sure.
But there's certainly
been around.
Yeah, we get around.
I love
it around. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of the Temple of Set for people who might not know what the Temple of Set is. I know there are a lot of misconceptions of the Temple of Set, so I'd like to maybe get some basic facts about, when, what, why, and where the temple was founded. So correct me if I'm wrong. This was my research, and if I'm wrong on something, stop me. Let's talk about it. So, temple was founded by Michael Aquino in 1975?
Correct.
All right. Would you say that adherents to the Temple of Set are known as Setians?
That is what we tend to call ourselves. I can tell you that Dr. Aquino really didn't like that term.
Really?
Yeah. He preferred to think of what we do. He called it Setian philosophy or Setian thought.
Okay.
I think the reduction of just down to Setian never sat well with him.
You think he didn't want to make it just like a class, like a philosophical class that you were overly defined by?
Something
or
like that. Yeah, because he was very much this whole thing was philosophy over ideology, right? And so we don't want to fall into I am a this and I do X, Y, and Z. It's you want you to really be
more open-ended capability for self-definition or whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, we've all managed to start calling ourselves that.
Too bad. Yeah. So, would the religion or philosophy, maybe we can define what that means, what you're more comfortable with, around the Temple of Set be known as Setianism?
Ish. Yeah, or Setian thought. I mean,
Setian thought. So do you think it's more of a philosophy than a religious outlook?
For a lot of people, I would say it is definitely. So, I mean, when we have a public event, or when we go out, we get together. Occasionally, depending on the location, instead of saying, Temple of Set this way, it might say,
really?
So there's a lot of kind of emphasis on Neoplatonism. And
absolutely.
So, I mean,
interesting.
Yeah. It's like that.
I think I can identify a little bit there, because within the Ordo Templi Orientis, there is, or even just Thelema more broadly, and Crowleyan thought, you have people who rabidly disagree as to whether or not it fulfills sort of the definition of a religion, or whether they want to practice it as a philosophy and that sort of thing. And a lot of the organizations don't make those decisions for people. They're like, we're going to leave that one to you on your own intellect. So
that's kind of where we're at. I would say our current high priest, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but generally don't think he's comfortable with people saying like I'm a religious Setian without it being like a very thoughtful statement.
Okay.
I personally draw from, as this might be controversial,
Please.
super influenced by Bataille. So
Okay,
I'll say
for sure. Yeah.
Following.
I like headless things too.
Yeah. You know.
Fuck yeah.
So following him in his more recent sacred conspiracy text, there's an essay in there where they say we are ferociously religious, and in the context of life unto the point of death, right? Like joy unto death.
Yeah.
In that sense, I am ferociously religious. Like this is my life, and this is what I pour everything into. But I don't feel that I occupy like a doxa. You know, I don't really like that. You know, but it is in the sense of like a central focus of and frequently it moves pretty post-rational and a lot of times. So. But that's pretty idiosyncratic, which there's kind of a lot of idiosyncrasy from one person to the next in the temple.
That makes sense. Absolutely. So, do you consider the Temple of Set a form of Satanism, or I've even heard the term post-Satanism thrown around?
Sure. Yeah, I do. I'm comfortable with the label. Dr. Aquino, was not opposed to Satanism, right?
Okay.
He was opposed to what we understand. I mean, amusingly enough, essentially simony.
Okay, right. Taking money for
priesthoods.
Yeah.
Right.
Buying your way in.
Yeah. And him and a number of other priests of Satan felt that they were engaging with something more than just a little bit of humanistic atheism in the ritual chamber.
Sure.
And that it mattered, and that what they did mattered, and that to sell that essentially was completely unacceptable and a violation of that sort of sacred space. I don't think they use those terms, but that's my understanding of events in 1975.
Okay.
And so, but with that, I don't think any of them were ever shy about this. It's just, Satan is a figure, one of many, right?
Yeah, of course.
So plenty of Setians probably never, bothered. There are others who really, I know one, there's several still former members of the original church who really revere a lot of elements of that.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Some have done the antinomian thing of burning their first edition copy of the Satanic Bible.
Yeah.
Not because they hate it, because they're this means so much to me. I gotta really fucking hit that transgressive note in a real way, not just a put on a Halloween mask and scare kids way. To really transgress against the self and the things that we hold sacred, the sacred cows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think most of us, post-Satanism is probably fine. I wouldn't say personally I've left it that far behind. I love the aesthetic.
Yeah.
But I love a lot of personally. I love. I will work with shit out of the Bible. I love it.
Like folk Christianity, heretical Christianity.
A little bit of this, I quote Job routinely when people ask me where I've been.
Okay.
Walking up and down on the earth and to and fro on it. Yeah.
But I got a couple lyrics in the new Mahomet album that play a little bit on Job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I love all of that. I feel like there's a bigger space to look into, right?
Awesome. So, from what I've read, Michael Aquino has a really decorated and colorful history. He's been described as a political scientist, achieving a master's and a PhD in political science. Mm-hmm. He published a fascinating thesis on the neutron bomb and the foreign policy considerations around its introduction in NATO around 77, 78? And he served as a psychological warfare specialist in the U.S. Army. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
And this was sort of pushed towards efforts in Vietnam initially. Is that true?
Yeah, he was a captain during the Vietnam War.
Captain in Vietnam?
Yeah.
All right. Did he serve with the Green Beret?
Yeah.
Okay, that was right in the 70s?
That's correct.
Yeah. And then he functioned as a NATO liaison officer in the 1980s?
As I understand it.
I think that's true, yeah. So it's been suggested too that he was involved in psychological operations for Operation Gladio, which was a part of the sort of NATO stay-behind operations. I guess NATO supposedly gave support to anti-communist and anti-far left groups in areas of NATO interest, and this was largely like sort of like in the interest of Western Europe, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
it's this Cold War stuff going on. Do you have anything to say about Operation Gladio or his involvement in it?
I don't know anything about Operation Gladio.
Okay.
Nothing about that sounds unlikely to
Right.
me. I mean, he was a captain in the PSYOPs division. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and he was very serious about it. There's a operation that he launched in Vietnam that is still like taught in the first week of PSYOPs course training, called Operation Wandering Soul.
Wandering Soul. Okay.
And it was based on his concerns about PSYOPs are always like, how do we win this without anybody getting shot?
Right.
And so
It kind of comes up in Mind War, right?
Mind
How do
War
we
is
have
just,
non-violent
precisely
warfare waged?
how do we just get the enemy to lay down their
Right.
arms? And so like Operation Wandering Soul was like a bunch of helicopters flying around over Cambodia with the voice of ghosts, the ghosts of the
Okay.
wandering dead, right? Which is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
telling the people there, like, you know, you're not at home taking care of your ancestors. You're not, because you're not doing that. I'm cursed to wander around out here. You should probably go home
Wow.
and do
So
your thing.
use of religion for psychological warfare.
Right? Yeah.
Or
Understand
superstition, even.
superstition. Understand the people, where they at. Who are
Yeah.
these people? They're not just numbers. They have beliefs. They have cultures. They have etc. I wasn't alive in Vietnam, and I, certainly have my opinions about the whole thing. But
Sure.
if one puts oneself in that situation,
Yeah.
you think your optimal spot would be that your dudes aren't getting shot. Yeah,
No, I mean, I
maybe
get
the
it.
other guys' dudes aren't getting shot. So
My grandpa was in Vietnam, in
Yeah.
Korea, like, F4 Wild Weasel pilot. My dad was a pilot.
Yeah.
I definitely get it. Doesn't mean I agree with them,
my old
but
man
I
was
can
a-
see the worldview at the time.
Yeah, my old man was a Marine. I get it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I'd like to think, what would you have done in there? Who knows? But that, I mean, the sense of like, you have to understand and work with what is
Sure.
real, right? Not just like, let's roll in. We're the West. We know what's up. Like, scares people. Like, what do they believe?
Right,
You know?
right. It reminds me, I think it was in the Philippines. Maybe it was either the CIA or the DIA or someone used like the sort of local, almost vampire lore.
Yeah,
That's like a famous one, a
Yeah,
psychological operation exploiting, I guess you could call it superstition or maybe folk beliefs.
folks' beliefs.
Folk beliefs, I think I'd be more comfortable with.
Yeah. Superstition puts too much of a on the people, right?
I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a shitty
Yeah.
way to put it. I'm actually really careful with that. I mean, I know in the OTO we talk about our opposition to superstition,
Mhm.
tyranny, and oppression.
Those are great things to oppose.
However, I want to be really careful with the word superstition. And it's really funny for magical orders to
I know.
bring
Right?
that up. Like, what do you mean by that?
I know.
So definitely don't want to make everything non-Eurocentric somehow
reduced.
superstitious
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yet
yeah.
somehow are goofy.
Yeah.
Candlelit
Mhm.
room is not,
Not like my sophisticated shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, very interesting. So, I mean, I guess later he taught at Golden Gate University and was an attaché for the Defense Intelligence Agency. Studied with the Foreign Service Institute and was eventually, which was, of course, the Foreign Service Institute's sponsored by the Department of State. And he was awarded the Meritorious Service Medal.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I've read some of his work when I was a youngin', pretty interested in Mind War, that he co-authored with, was it Paul Valley? Paul Valley, okay. And that's from PSYOP to Mind War, right? The Psychology of Victory.
Mhm.
So this book sort of suggests, right, like my interpretation of it was it had kind of like a continuous peacetime psychological operations that would influence the enemy, but also like civilian populations, and the sort of in the hopes that we could culturally modify rather than utilize weapons and bombs and, and then also one of the things I thought was really fascinating about Mind War is it's like one of the very first times you see public discussion of electronic warfare, or even what now we would call directed energy weapons, electromagnetic fields for manipulation, and then
negative ion field and stuff like that.
and then now recently, I guess the kind of controversial, maybe it's real, maybe it's not, Havana syndrome,
right?
And he, in 1980, he's writing about utilizing electromagnetic or high frequency microwave radiation for the manipulation of the BIOS of a target. I thought that was pretty interesting, considering 60 Minutes just did a huge piece on it, and this a lot of folks from the Pentagon are trying to say this isn't a thing, and it's like,
pay no attention to that.
Speaking of Mind War, so that's the one that everyone seems to know, but he has like 2 other works right there, right? It's like Mind Star, and then a Far,
like Find Far,
and they kind of like further it into more cultural or even almost like spiritual religious dimension, or how would you describe those?
Those were kind of like his capstone works, I guess, in a lot of ways. Mind War, the second one, I'm sorry, remind me of the title.
So there's Mind War, Mind Star, and Find Far.
Yeah, so Mind Star is like definitely his musings on post life, what happens, post the body.
Wow.
Death. And not without its controversy, even within the temple.
So, did he have a belief in the afterlife, or?
As I understand it, yeah, he did. I think I don't know enough about it to like characterize it that well, but I think it's not uncommon that you will meet Setians who have a sense of, I don't know, anything from like almost like a chode, kind of like a
Tibetan.
Yeah, if I
Book of the Dead or something.
If I concentrate my essence, maybe there's a way to survive physical death. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't.
Is this like metempsychosis or
probably something like that?
This kind of reminds me of some of the supposed sex magical techniques of leaping from one body to another,
I've heard that one.
I mean, one of his central texts that was received, or an automatic writing, we're talking about the Book of Coming Forth by Night, right? Which is
absolutely
kind of sounds at least like a play off of the Book of Coming Forth by Day, which is the Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? How you walk after death. Even the stele, like Aleister Crowley. One of the reasons I think the stele is even up there is that the back of it is a spell for walking after death. So there is kind of training in life to lead to potentially a power that allows you to have some control over the way that you progress in the future, even if that's just maybe leaving something so strong about your essence that it carries on in other people, maybe, whatever. I don't know.
That's, So the Book of Coming Forth by Night is definitely his, hard to say received, but somewhere around like, it seems like automatic. He says, I forget there's an exact phrase, but like I entered my study to do some writing, and he sat down and he didn't describe it the way Crowley described the Book of the Law, right?
Like, over my left shoulder is a fucking Persian savage king.
Which was fucking awesome. But but Dr. Aquino didn't want. He's like, this was, it wasn't somebody else doing the writing, but he was kind of an open meditative space. I assume something like automatic writing, and he, at the time at least, was like super not really an Egyptologist in any way, as I understand it. Like he read Budge, and some other things, and like maybe the origination of the set thing came from like LaVey wanting to have like a little, Egypt it up a little bit, and so it didn't really stem from like a deep academic like lifetime of studying the Egyptian materials and whatever. It just kind of grew out of these happenstantial events.
So maybe that kind of opens us up to say like, okay, let's talk about Aquino's background before the Temple of Set. He was a member of the Church of Satan, right? So what was Aquino's original involvement? Can you tell me anything that you know about the Church of Satan, its origins, and its influence on Aquino?
Well, I think I know, I guess, probably what everybody knows about the church. LaVey was a character in the San Francisco space, cultural space. That time I feel like is always like really, it was hippies and dope and everybody loved each other, but I'm like, also the Manson family was going on,
right?
The Process Church. There's a lot of fucking crazy shit happening in California, and I don't know if I were to characterize LaVey, seemed like a man who could read the time,
Yeah.
And so he had his like topless witch reviews, and then that turned into events at his black house. There's a series of pamphlets that are like different colors, and he'd go over kind of standard occult topics. Probably, I don't know. I feel like people have far better like academic sources these days than they did in the honestly.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, but he'd talk about this and that, and witchcraft, and the power of the gays, and the yada yada yada, and all that sort of stuff. But the story, as I understand it, is the premiere of Rosemary's Baby. Dr. Aquino's in town. He's going to go see it, and this like black Cadillac or something rolls up, and a couple of satanic witches get out, followed by LaVey in his full fucking I'm being Anton LaVey get up,
and entourage and all that,
and that's going to attract attention, right? I mean, it's like literally like we would call call that probably the command to look, maybe, or
command to look. Okay,
yeah. And it worked. Aquino was interested, followed up, started going to the Black House, became a member. As it progressed from kind of a looser thing into something with more of an identity around it, he was involved in all that. He helped found grottos. He wrote a lot of material for like the satanic rituals.
Sure,
and, a lot of. I mean, I don't know what I think about it. I feel like when I was young, when I was a kid, right? Like I read the Satanic Bible. I'm like, fucking whatever, dude. This guy's in like fucking horn pajamas and
sure,
but through Dr. Aquino's eyes, I gained a different sense of respect for all that. Like Aquino, I feel like to his very end, like had a legitimate respect for LaVey.
I think so. Yeah.
I just, I think you see like on one hand, you've got a showman.
Yeah.
And maybe a really good one, whatever. And I think Aquino or LaVey did something super important. I think the Church of Satan was important. I think in that it just existed and it became a gateway for people, right? Like in itself, I don't know. I can't speak to it. I've never been a member. I always thought to like send $200 and get a card was kind of, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Right on.
Would you think, so one of my, I guess a lot of the, I don't want to say this is maybe this is a criticism for me.
Sure.
But I don't know if this is an accurate philosophical analysis, but a lot of people seem to take that LaVey seems to have incorporated a lot of Ayn Rand mixed with like some of Crowley's stuff, or at least even Crowley read through the lens of Ayn Rand. Is that accurate at all? Or
I mean, from what I can understand about like the various history around it, like I don't think LaVey wrote much of anything.
Really?
Like big chunks of the Satanic Bible are lifted from Ragnar Redbeard. You know the story, maybe?
Yeah, of course.
The anarchist down in Australia.
Really?
Might is right. Like guy. Other chunks.
I didn't know that at all.
Oh yeah, it's like maybe like straight up plagiarism. I don't know. But
Okay.
Worth a look if you're interested.
Oh, I will absolutely look into it. Yeah.
So but Ragnar Redbeard's Might is Right maybe led to that, and the Fountainhead was a big. I don't know, but like did LaVey really read 1,000 pages of fucking poorly edited screed about rape fantasies, or did he just like I have a hard time believing that, but he certainly said at some point our religion is basically just Ayn Rand with horns on, and my guess is he probably got a couple like crib notes on that and sounds good, whatever, selfishness sounds good, spooky, and fuck you hippies, and he's like almost like we kind of understand like a satanic third way in the San Francisco space. You got like your kind of boot smashing fascists over here. You got your fucking hedonistic hippies, LSD and weed over here, and LaVey couldn't deal with that. Like, drugs weren't really. He had to be like, I'm the.
He wanted to be a little prim and proper.
Yeah, but he didn't want to be these guys either. So that was always like the.
He's like, how do we get out of this?
You're still like a weirdo, but you're not like,
Interesting.
So, I don't know, but LaVey, as I understand it, was not much of a original writer, and I don't know how much he even was super into Crowley, because he was like generally pretty down on occult stuff, even though he clearly benefited from it, right? Like,
to me, it seemed like he took some stuff, but he also was critical, and he maybe had a cynical view of Aleister Crowley, but
deeply cynical.
Maybe also kind of identified in the sense that, like, hey, he thought Crowley was playing a trick, and he's like, I'm also playing a trick, but it's a trick, and of these suckers who don't get it,
I think
fuck them.
I think your read is totally right. I think it was ultimately a cynical foundation, which is maybe why it led to how things played out.
Right. So Aquino's like, I don't want to be cynical. I actually mean my thoughts.
I think he was very much in addition to all the military awards and stuff, like, he was the highest ranking, like, Eagle Scout in the country for a while.
Yeah, the Eagle Scout stuff. Okay, yeah.
And he was born rich, right?
I didn't know that. Yeah.
This man did not have to do any of this shit, right? Like, I had to join the military to get the fuck out.
Okay.
So, it was that or work blackjack at the local, casino. But for him, it was to do it. Like, why do any of this? And it was to that sense of, like, you didn't have to do any of this shit.
Well, he worked a lot. So from my understanding, 1971, he's a 4th degree in the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
And he's working as the editor of the Cloven Hoof.
Yeah.
So he's invested. He's trying to get his ideas out. He sat on the Council of Nine. Do you know much about the Council of Nine? For
pre-Temple, I get a sense that the Council of Nine was, like, I feel like at one point LaVey's driver was on it.
Okay.
You get a sense
of,
like
him and his buddies running the show.
Kind of like Caligula putting his horse in the Senate or whatever.
Yeah, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would too.
I want a horse in.
I would love
on a council. Actually, my dog Nix will be in anything I take over.
I've met your dog, and I would vote for that. Yeah, so I mean, there were serious actors on the C9, and then there's probably shifts over time. I don't know the history that super well.
Okay.
There are certainly people in Temple who can be like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then, but there was a shift, right?
Okay.
And I think maybe it has to do with the expansion of the church.
Like, I'll do a little digging on that and see what's up. I think this is a question you're more will be on your level, knowing you as a philosopher and deeply read individual. Do you think the breach between Anton LaVey and Michael Aquino is mostly a difference between sort of an atheist materialist take and then maybe transcendental idealism? Or
yeah, I mean, I feel like I would say arguably Dr. Aquino was the kind of Neoplatonist who's not necessarily opposed to, like, your classic Gnosticism, but I don't think that he thought that the world as such was evil.
Right.
Flawed, perhaps.
Sure.
But I mean, he was a, his PhD mentor was a man named Bhagavan. Oh God, it's Indian.
The Indian guy.
Yeah. I feel terrible.
Was he also a Platonist? I read a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to dive into.
Yeah.
I had this argument with Thelemites as well, and we also don't get along on this one frequently. It's like, but even my buddy, who I wish could be here tonight, really into Platonism, and we always argue about it. Whether or not we believe in the forms behind these types of things, or whether it's more grounded in, say, empiricism, and like how do we arrive at this?
Right.
Certainly, this doesn't seem to be a common conversation in, like, sort of your average street occultism, but it has been an argument. The Amblicus, think about all the old, even among early Gnostics, like you brought up the Gnostics, it seems like between the Basilidians and between Valentinians and Setians, and there's a lot of different opinion on what the material world represents, what they're doing. Are we transcending the body? Are we trying to escape the world? Are we participating?
Right.
So I know a lot of Satanists who are like, the world is what's up.
Yeah.
He's the Lord of the world. Yeah, it's about the world. And then you have these other kinds of Satanists, maybe even the anti-cosmic Satanists, that almost seem like they're sort of, despite all the imagery, just classic Christian Gnostics trying to escape the universe.
Kind of take on it. I'm like,
Feels like that.
yeah, it feels kind of Christian, bro.
I guess some of the more controversial things maybe we can get to that come up are, of course, that I think a lot of people in the conspirituality field will talk about are the abuse allegations, and I know that was thrown out of court. And I guess I would ask you, do you think Aquino was victim of the Satanic Panic of the 1980s, or
I think he was a martyr of the Satanic Panic of the 80s. I think Dr. Aquino specifically, and his wife Lilith Aquino, stood up in a way that almost nobody else did. And they went out.
They were on like Geraldo, right?
They went on Geraldo. They went on Oprah.
Fucking
in front of every fucking piece of shit out there, and they did not like.
I saw that with my mom when I was a kid.
I was a kid, and I gotta tell you, man, I was like getting my ass beat all the time for being some weird goth nerd.
Yep.
Hey, fuck you, Satanist. I'm like, I don't know one of those, dude. And I saw these people, I'm like, that's real integrity. That's real honor. And I gotta tell you, I am not the only person. There's like a whole generation of Setians
for real
that are in the temple because of Geraldo. So I'm like, here's to Geraldo, right?
Well, here's to Geraldo getting his nose broken.
Fuck that too.
So, but he was like basically not even in the same city
No, yeah.
at the moment of the allegations. And
No, the allegations.
It was like what was it Catholic or a Christian pastor?
But also brought by chaplains.
Chaplains.
I never trust a chaplain.
I would never trust
Yeah,
a chaplain.
But yeah, so the accusations were all thrown out. There's a whole FBI thing. It's public.
You can read the FBI file.
Yeah,
It's one of the
you can
first
read it,
things
yeah.
that comes up on Google, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But maybe fortunately, so that people can see analysis of that.
Yeah.
So to get to the guts, I guess the last sort of the thing that people use to sort of bolster that is his suicide in 2019 after a lengthy and painful illness. A lot of people are like, "Oh, he must have been so guilty because he fucking loved the Lord of Darkness." And I know that's a sensitive topic, but I think because it's used as a weapon against the founder of religions, we're sort of digressing a little bit.
I mean, so it's interesting. I had actually only heard that relatively recently. Like I'd seen the updated Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I know leaders inside the temple were like, "That's," I wasn't there. I
Yeah,
don't know.
for sure. Who was?
But his wife said that was not the case.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I don't know, but I can tell you that he was 100% not ashamed of anything he had done. He is very proud of, be prideful of being is kind of one of our early commandments. And he was 100% on board. This is not like a deathbed, like, oh geez, I wish I'd loved you.
Yeah, I didn't see a deathbed confession or anything, but
the suicide thing is relatively new in my experience. Like it actually really just kind of came up in a recent I'm like, what?
it's a new event, 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was dying of a super painful illness, I mean, I know we have Liber Oz, right? Man has the right to die when and how he will.
Yeah.
So, would you rather?
And I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if that's an allegation or it's true or whatever. But I wouldn't say like it doesn't change anything for me because I would do the same fucking thing.
Right.
Like,
does the temple have any doctrine on suicide, or does it just not even care?
No,
it's your business.
No, it's your business. There's no like, it's no nothing. He wrote a thing once about like why Setian's a great soldier because like. I don't need like real special funerary rites, I respect the laws of the country I'm in, the host culture, as it were.
Sure, yeah, I've heard of that.
All that sort of thing. And
one of my disagreements with y'all. Just kidding.
It's
I'm just teasing.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. But I feel like it was probably if it's false.
Okay.
I'm sure it was put in to be like some sort of like, man, look at this.
Area.
And if it's true, then I'm like, okay,
fucking
whatever.
I don't want to die of cancer that way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the temple itself. How is the temple organized?
So it's so the temple understands itself like I guess I'd say our dominant metaphor is it's a school.
It's a school. Okay.
So it's kind of like an umbrella organization, right? There's the Temple of Set. Everybody, when you join your first degree, you have 2 years to be recognized as an adept. That process is kind of varies from person to person depending on people come in from all walks of life.
Sure.
You know how it is, So, you work with a priest or maybe a couple of priests to determine if this is something that is right for you, if we're you're right for us.
Right.
All those sorts of things. You do various magical works along the way, and we understand our degree system explicitly through the lens of recognition rather than initiation.
Okay.
So I recognize that you are a practitioner. I mean, you're obvious. Like I can see it, right? Like game recognized game.
I'm hanging out,
Yeah. And but I don't really have like a secret to tell people to make them a better Setian. You know what I'm saying? Like I have things that I'm not going to talk to a first degree about or whatever, but I don't have the like. Yeah, but we understand. It's weird, because we really focus on mouth to ear, in person. It's got to pass from one person to the next, but I don't really have like a secret handshake to give you.
Right.
Know? So there's that there. So within the temple, once you're recognized as an adept, you're in. You can basically be an adept for the rest of your life if you want, and it's kind of an expectation that most people will.
Okay.
Because the adept degree for us is. Like for most people, it's a degree of freedom, right? It's a degree of almost a ludic degree in some cases. The world is yours to play with as you see fit. Degrees beyond that are about your relationship with the temple. Like,
Are they like service degrees or community?
yeah,
based,
yeah,
or-
basically, like, you know, it has to do with the 501c3 status. Once you're a priest, you're a voting member. It's, you know, beyond that, you're a master of the temple. Now you teach whole schools within the temple, and that's where we have orders. So there's separate orders within the temple.
Are the orders, so is it order and then pylon, or is the pylon apart? Like, how do the pylon order?
The pylon's like a local body. So
Okay.
my pylon that I founded a long time ago and is now, you know, on its 15th year, we have members within that pylon that are in several different orders.
Okay.
Some members of the Order of the Trapezoid. We have a few Knights of the Trapezoid. We've got one member of the Order of the Hawk-Faced Lord, which is our Horus facing. And
So the orders are like points of view and practice, or ideology, or
kind
they're
of like
places of exploration.
yeah, magic's like a big place, right?
Enormous. Yeah.
And so you might say, like, I'm super interested in Thelema. Like, Thelema is one of our recognized Aeonic words, right? We recognize Crowley as a magus. We recognize Thelema. And there are people who it's like super important. There's actually, I guess, a bunch of like former 11th degree
I would not be surprised at all.
So you know, there's a whole order for exploring Horus, and yeah, I think it's the more elder Horus, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's
The
the
Raharakti.
yeah, that one. Yeah. So I'm in the Order of the Vampire, which is like about intersubjective exchange, energy work, you know, and in any kind of classical sense you might imagine that to be.
Love it.
And you know, and also we love vampire movies, but like, but as a metaphor, right? Like, as
Of course, I
an
get
exchange. And then, you know, and there's others, and they go along like different things you might be interested
Yeah.
in. And then more free form or something like an element, which is like, we have a dance element for somatic movement and exploration. We have we have elements that explore all kinds of. We have an element that is essentially like taking all the best parts of the Church of Satan that we all liked, thought had a lot of juice, skip all the shitty part that we didn't like, and go with it. You know, like, what were they doing that we liked?
I love that. It's interesting. I understand that. So the Temple of Set doesn't really proselytize, right? Like y'all aren't going door to door, and honestly, you're not really that vocal about what you do publicly.
We don't do anything publicly. Like, it's kind of saying its core tenet isn't exactly right, but it is a very strict thing. Like, we do not proselytize. Like, people find their way to the temple.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm going to be shy about it. I'm happy to talk to anybody about it.
Sure.
But I'm not going to be like, hey, buddy, you ever thought about worshiping a fucking ancient Egyptian god? Like, it's the thought is very much like you find your way to the temple.
I find the OTO is kind of the same thing. I mean, maybe they put out more of a public face, but ultimately our job is to promulgate and make available, not necessarily
I think about
convince, like not an apologia, you know?
Yeah, no, I think about it a lot because the local body up in Seattle has a YouTube channel at this point, and they do talks, you know, standard stuff.
Yeah.
Like, come learn about Babylon, you know?
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome. And I'm like, should we do? But I'm like, no, it's not. Not only is it like, I mean, there's a security issue and a career issue and all that sort of stuff, but it's not in our DNA to publicly speak. It's also like, it's kind of explicit in the functioning of like the magical functioning inside. Like, we don't have reporters come and check it out. There's
It's almost always a mistake.
there's like an essay somewhere called Hanging Out, and I think it was like a thing in the Church of Satan, you know, just people were curious onlookers. There's only participants, and like, if you come to my working, you're involved in the working, and you don't just get this.
I support that. I mean, I used to want to do more like, hey, whatever, and then it's always bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people want at the mass and other things to.
They want a spectacle, but they don't want to be doing anything for.
Fucking battery drain.
Oh no.
It did it? This happens in this building a lot.
Yeah.
One of the episodes we were filming during the reading,
Ghosts are hungry.
we had 2 batteries completely drained from 100% to nothing, one right after the other, and we had to stop filming for like a while and then redo the whole fucking thing.
I'm assuming you've probably already done your like full spectrum like analysis of the space here already.
There's weird shit here for
Yeah.
real. Well, there's also weird things in the building that, like my place, that are hidden in the walls and stuff that make it spiritually difficult to operate. I like to keep a miasma around, so when you have people at mass and stuff, they fucking feel it.
Yeah.
You know, even if
Yeah.
Okay,
But it has these problems. Okay.
I have half battery on here.
Okay.
Half the battery. Motherfucker.
So how do people even join the Temple of Set?
Yeah, so we have a arguably outdated website, but we do have a web presence, and there's contact information for our executive director, and it's a pretty straightforward process. You write to them, and they will review your communication and maybe do a little back and forth. And if it seems like you're not somebody who's writing from death row, or because you just had a personal experience of Satan and now you are Satan and you want to tell us how to live, and if you seem like a reasonable seeker, then they will put you in touch with a priest of Set.
Tell me a little bit about the Aeon of Set. How does the temple view the concept of aeons?
We have a sense of aeons. Probably not too terribly different from Crowley's, other than we understood things have moved forward a little bit. We understand the Aeon of Set to be the current one. I don't know about time frames and everything. That's a bit.
But what would it be? What would you describe an aeon as? Is it a descriptive, prescriptive? How would you?
So if we talk about the world of Isaac Newton,
okay,
that's how I think we would understand an aeon to be. So the Aeon of Set takes in the essence of Set, what is Set like? So what is that? That's oppositional in many ways, opposed to natural stasis in many ways, maybe destructive, maybe storm-like in some cases.
So it's more descriptive of kind of what you expect the conditions of human experience to be.
Something.
Talking about Newton, we might be talking about, kind of just coming into the Enlightenment. We're about to come into the Enlightenment, leave the Dark Age.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Something about the math piece and its mutual development. And also there's Leibniz over here at the same time. So it's kind of weird. But there's a world of Isaac Newton, right? Or we say the world of fucking whatever, pick a thing.
The Industrial Revolution would be
something like that, like a point, maybe in the spiritual evolution of humanity. I don't,
do you think it more focuses on the spiritual than it does on the material, or really maybe they kind of go together?
I'd say both. This wild acceleration of technology fits very much into our understanding of Set.
Okay. So I look at this as we have Don Webb takes over in 1966, which I want to remember that date because it comes up
later than that.
Again, later. Does he?
1966 is far too early. Don Webb is later.
When does Don Webb take over?
So
2002 or?
Yeah, it's more it's after that. I think it's right after the Shreks left.
Okay.
Which is right before I joined.
Gotcha. And that would even make sense, right? Because if earlier we're talking about the foundation in 75, how we take over in 66, that might be a typo on my part.
Yeah.
So he publishes a lot of influential works such as Seven Faces of Darkness, Mysteries of the Temple of Set, Aleister Crowley, The Fire and the Force, Overthrowing the Old Gods, Aleister Crowley and the Book of the Law, and as well as Set the Outsider. Are there any changes or influence you think Don Webb sort of brought to the leadership, or even the expansions to the ideology of?
Yeah. Well, certainly every high priest brings their own kind of flavor, their own kind of raza to the thing. Don Webb is far more of a Crowley aficionado than maybe previous high priest may have been. He has a broad magical take on things. He writes a lot, and I would say his primary work is writing fiction. That's what he does. He works for UCLA right now. He teaches fiction. He goes to all these. He's a writer primarily, but a worthwhile thing to read if you're interested in Don Webb's work, and I think this might be worthwhile. You might enjoy it. And you can find it. It's in an old copy of Runes, which was the publication of the Order of the Trapezoid. It's an essay called Fictive Arcanum, and it's about why would you read or write fiction as a magician?
Okay,
and I found it personally deeply influential. But so his stuff comes through these kind of lens of I don't know. I feel like he lightened things up maybe a little bit. Don
is saying you could use sort of creative writing or fiction in magical scenarios, and nevertheless,
or so think about Parsons' connection to fiction, right?
Okay, you're right.
Pulp, right? Yeah. But there's a piece in there. He's so writing is like the outside contacting the outside. It's like this unknown part of you, right? And like it just flows out when you do this creative.
When you
piece.
engage literature,
Yeah.
you can pull things
You
that
just
you might not have.
unexpectedly out of yourself.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
And if you're a magician, you might have like in some sort of ritual thing or other. It's worthwhile read.
You brought up Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
That influence, and I mean, there are a lot of works of fiction that it's hard to say they didn't have not just philosophical impact, but like religious impact. We think of like Dostoevsky and tons of authors
Dante.
that are dealing, absolutely Dante, that majorly not just culturally influential but religiously influential. I think that makes sense. Okay, well then let's get some concepts with Setianism, like self-determination. That's a big thing.
Self-guided evolution.
Self-guided evolution.
Like I'm gonna absolutely slaughter this. This is totally the worst. There's like 3 utterances of the word Kepher, of the Aeonic word Kepher, inside the Temple of Set. So the original Dr. Aquino establishes the Aeon through the utterance of the word, and then there are 2 kind of essentially refining takes on it. Our current high priest is the 3rd one, but they're all around the sense of like willed evolution, of Kefra, the Egyptian figure, is like the beetle that rolls up to the moon,
car,
right? Yeah, up to the moon, and all that, right? Like, so to be more than you were, right? Like, I mean, it's 21 years. I think you and I are both a bit more than we were back then.
I think so.
Right? And and how much of that was like your determination to do so? I'm gonna fucking get out of here. I'm gonna do this thing, or I'm gonna die trying.
Yeah.
And you do it, and you do the thing, and now you know that you can do the thing. Right. So I have come into being, and thereby the process of coming into being has been established. Right. So I just basically bootstrap myself up. I hate to use that term because of connotations, whatever. But
there's something within you that nevertheless drives. Contacting that, making it a power, invoking it, pushing it into the world,
getting to know it, refining it. What is it? What is it?
Getting the dynamo going.
Yeah. What is it that I'm? I mean, I hesitate to say true will, but you get a sense like there's something to do that you're here to do, and maybe it's part of your job.
I mean, Crowley wrote like "Know thyself through thy way."
Yeah.
In other words, like the doing is a part of the self-knowledge. Yeah. And the self-knowledge like maybe informs the doing. So, but it's still an active.
It's a process. You have to do it. You have to engage it. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
So interesting. So that's
is that Kepher, or describe Kepher for me? Is that essentially that? Or?
That's essentially that. So I may and
it's a becoming, right?
Yeah, it's a becoming. It's a coming into being.
Right.
And then you do it again, and 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 then you die. And so we say Kepher remanifests. So the you that is today is not the you that was here. This is like man doesn't step in the same room twice.
Right, Heraclitus.
Yeah. So, we, once I have gone through Kepher, I am no longer this person that started the process. So, I don't know about you, I have this thing that happens, I swear, every 10 years I realize I am living out the life that 10 years ago me wanted. And I'm like, mission accomplished, but this isn't it anymore. This ain't it anymore, Chief. I gotta, like, that's done, okay.
An ever-expanding border, of course.
Yeah, it's an unending futurity. Right?
I love
always that. Towards the horizon.
So in the book of Coming Forth by Night, I see that either Set or Aquino is claiming that in 1904 he came forward as his, I'm guessing Set came forward as his opposite self. It seems to be defined as a type of a form of Horus. I think this is kind of interesting because we have concepts of the dual god, Hu or Set. And in this case, he's saying that this opposite self delivered the book of the law to Aleister Crowley to sort of purify the death gods of men. Do you have anything to say about that relationship? Or,
I mean, so that's really rapidly going to get outside of my kind of under space, but like as I understand it, so he's basically saying like he came forth as Horus, provided the Aeon of the crown and conquering child to prepare a way, and then came back as his true self later. Something about consciousness needs a body, something about a fitful self to kind of measure against, right? Like if I'm here by myself, what is there? There's nothing. There's, so I have
it's almost a dialectical understanding.
Something like that. And that's kind of my understanding. We do have like people who are like have far more worked out theory around that. I am not one of those guys.
I love to see it because I know that I did my Principle of Satan and Thelema talk.
That's that's on our list of things to listen to. And it's
love to hear that.
Yeah,
I worked hard on that one.
yeah.
We have this sort of identification of Ivos, who delivered the Book of the Law, at least spoke the chapters, representing, Horus and, Nuit, Hadith, and Rahorquit, but nevertheless identified with Set, Satan, and other areas of Crowley's writing. So this seems to kind of follow forward with that, but with a different understanding of how the Aeon was unfolding. I saw that from the Book of the Coming Forth by Night, that Horus and Set seem to have coexisted until around 1966.
That's Age of Satan,
and then the Age of Satan is
sort of a
inner
bridge,
a bridge to this future Aeon of Set.
Not like an Aeon in itself, right? But just as a kind of a space, like a cultural time period and space that is a bridge, I guess.
It's because Black Sabbath was
Black Sabbath was coming on.
Black Sabbath is on the way.
Fuck yeah.
And it looks like Aquino claims to have broken the code to the Book of the Law, and thus making him a magus even in that system.
I feel like that's a claim he's making in there. I don't know that I've seen any particular proofs of the math
cipher or whatever.
But he worked in cryptology and psyops and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Your temple should publish that. No, I'm just kidding.
Right?
A
lot of people might be interested.
Yeah. So I guess also the focus on Set rather than Satan, because there seems to be a recognition that this is Satan, or what was called Satan, but Set seems to want the dignity back. Like, I allowed this to happen, but I'm not just some Hebrew devil.
Right.
I'm something grander.
Yeah. So this is, maybe we get into the Prince of Darkness thing, right?
Yeah.
So we understand this entity that provides the black flame, the gift of Set, as the
which
Prince
is
of
consciousness,
Darkness,
right?
Consciousness, sentience, some
intelligence,
and without getting into the hyper,
we don't have to.
And maybe that presence, that entity, that whatever it is, has presented itself through many guises through time. And so Set is the oldest one that we understand that is specifically an oppositional force. There are certainly evil gods or whatever, but they don't ever seem to. They seem to generally be part of the same system. As opposed to I fight the other gods, or I get maybe controlled by the other gods. But so from the Egyptian space, it seems like what we understand is the oldest representation of the Prince of Darkness. But certainly people work with it in a lot of other ways, like for instance Odin, for instance. So. And different aspects of it, what comes forward, right? I stick with Set because I was in the army, and I'm a big adherent and as you have, I'm sure we have both talked to some headless entities that more or less, and I am their fucking soldier in war against the gods. And I understand that with Set too. So
the word of the Aeon of Set is Kepher.
It's Kepher. It's coming to being.
Coming into being.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say that before we close?
Other than to say thanks for the opportunity. It's great to see you. Fucking awesome. But
fucking for real.
Also, very rarely does one get an opportunity to talk to somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about in these spaces. So I really appreciate just the conversation.
Appreciate it too.
Yeah.
Well, let me propose a toast to death and the devil.
To death and the devil. Cheers.
If you're broken down, Jesus is waiting. Oh yeah, don't let yourself down.